In this project, I have only one card, which is meetings. And for all the adaptive card extensions, the class which is the initializer, the base class which starts all the plumbing is this one, adaptive card extensions. It's a class which inherits from base adaptive card extensions, and we need to specify two parameters, two types to this. One is what kind of properties it is taking in, and what the state is. We will cover state in much detail in further topics. So what does it have? onInit function, nothing major about it. It's a standard SPFX implementation. However, the two properties which we must look a bit more carefully is that card navigator and quick view navigator. Simply put, the card navigator, that is this view, the first one, and the quick view is this, the pop-up thingy. The idea over here is we can have multiple card navigators, multiple cards, sorry, and as well as multiple quick view. What does that mean? Imagine a scenario where this card is showing some user specific data, but so the card loads up, you make a call to API, you get some data and show the end user what that data is. But it could be that there was some error in it, or the promise doesn't resolve, the API didn't go through. In that case, we will like to show some error message, right? Now that is possible. So what we need to do is to write another card just like this and register it with our card navigator object. This is how the SPFX connection framework, it keeps track of all the cards and views that needs to be shown. And it's a key value pair. I specify the whole class, and then I specify with what key I would like to associate with it. This card view and the quick view functions, these are nothing but defined over here in the card view and then in the quick view. We will cover that in a brief details. Then we have the load property pane resources. This function and this function, between these two, they are together. Their job is to load the configurational properties for our web part. So for example, if I go here, I click on edit, I can see all these things, right? This is coming because of the property which we have mentioned over here. Standard SPFX, nothing major about it. That's the class, and we have defined what the properties. Of course, we can add multiple over here and it will start showing up. However, important thing to note over here is this load property pane resource. It returns a promise. Note how it is returning a promise and not actual value of the property. And the reason I suspect that is because not every time we load our web part do we need to show our properties. So what do I mean? Let's say if the web part loads 100 times for end users, it's only once perhaps maybe that an administrator or an owner has logged in and he would like to change the properties of it. So why put in code into your bundle if it is not really needed? So, and that's the reason how Microsoft, rather the Connect framework, solves this problem is with the help of a promise. So it's at the time of runtime, if the code is needed, then a call goes back again and it imports this file and does all the magic. So very important functionality over here. And lastly, then we have rendered card. This is the function gets called that tells the framework what is the first card to show. So technically I could have 6 cards registered over here, card 1, card 2, card 3, card 4, and then whatever ID is specified over here, that's the card that will be rendered. So that's about adaptive card extensions. Now let's quickly look at what do we have inside the card view. That's the card view class. It has 3 important functions. One is the card button, other is data, and on card selection. Card button is pretty straightforward. We need to tell how many buttons we would like to have over here, and then we can configure that with the help of card buttons function. Not only can we configure how many buttons, 1 or 2 we want to show. See how it is an array of 1 or 2 buttons. So that means only 2 buttons max are possible. But we can also add how many buttons we want and also what should happen to those buttons. So for example, right now on click of it, I'm showing a div, but I can also redirect the end user to some other page. So in that case, we will replicate this thing and then replace it with URL. The data is the data for the card. Right now we have two texts, the SPFX adaptive card extension in the meeting, and that is coming from these two properties. And lastly, on card selection, what happens if somebody clicks on the card? If I click on it, right now it is, notice how it is redirecting me to bing.com. It's because of this thing. Now, I can also change it to be exactly similar to the quick view. So that means if somebody clicks on it, a div opens up. That is possible. It's just a matter of changing the external link, because behind the scenes this thing is nothing but adaptive card designer, the adaptive card which we discussed, which we saw in our previous videos. So let me take an example. Let's say I would like to have one more button over here, and that button should redirect me to Google, right? What do I need to do? Pretty straightforward. In fact, I can just copy this thing, come over here. Better, let's do it like this. Let me copy this thing again. Yeah, okay. No, I don't want this. It has to be, sorry, like this. Let's copy this thing. Come on, don't trouble me. That's way. And now then we need to change this parameter over here. Let's call it external link, and the target has to be, notice how it is showing me an error that if the type is of an external link, then you cannot specify this value. The parameter is different. So I can do this one and then change it to google.com, control S. Better, I will save it, everything from here, save all. Let's see quickly what happens if I do a refresh of the page. Voila, we have two buttons. Now if I preview on it, let's change the text also. Can I? Yes, you see this one, it can be, let's call it Google. Refresh it. For some reason it's still taking up. Come on, I think it should come anytime. Yeah, and that's Google. If I preview on it, it takes me to Google. I didn't specify the property correctly. Important thing to note is what happens if I change the size of the card. You see, if I change from large to medium, notice how the other card shifts. And as of now, to the best of my knowledge, there is no way we can control this programmatically, because the card size property on adaptive card, it's a read-only one. So let's go back again over here and I click on preview. What happens when I click on quick view is this ability to open a div. How does that work? Pretty straightforward. That's the title. In the type, I need to specify a quick view. That is the key to identify the action type. And then I specify which card I want to see. So this quick view, remember, this quick view is exactly same as this quick view register ID. So I have registered in my extension functions, I have registered my card, quick view card, with the system. And then I say, hey, on that card click, you show this one. Similarly, if I had another quick view, and we will see that in further details, I can always copy paste this class, change my logic, what I want to show, and so on and so forth, give it a new ID like this over here, something like this. Let's call it quick view ID. It can be anything, but I will just put it 2, and that would be my new class. And now if I say quick view ID 2 over here, it will open not this one but the other quick view, and I can do it for the both. So that's for the 3 important classes. In the next session we will talk about state management, and then in the further sessions we will see how we can really implement different quick views, different cards, and how adaptive card designers, the JSON for adaptive card designer can be implemented in it to create a full-fledged custom application. So I hope to see you in the next session. The idea of state is fundamental to front-end stack. Yeah, the state is fundamental to lots of other stacks also, but particularly important in front-end world. The idea is that we get our data. It's a common data bucket which is shared across all the solution. In our case, we have three classes, extension class, the base class extension, then we have the card view and the quick view. Now, general rule of thumb, all the basic calculation, calling APIs, doing validation, doing all business logic, it's recommended that we combine them at one place, and for us it should be the extension class. So if you imagine a situation wherein on the card view we have to print the username and the department, and we need to make an API request to get the department of the user. The idea would be to do that API request in the extension class, get all the data, put it in the state, and then let state flow across all project, and card view or the quick view can access to tap onto that state and then show the value accordingly. So they don't have to calculate again. So that's one aspect of it. The other aspect of state is that it re-renders every time it is changed. So for example, let's say the go one, we start making, we show the card view as such, right? We have not yet made the API call back to the server. So card will open up, it'll say, okay, it's still loading, and then after 2 minutes it will show us the exact data, right? And the way to do this magic of flipping from loading to actual data automatically without any user interaction or refresh or anything, that can be done fairly easily with the help of state. We only change the object, the state, and then the framework automatically picks up this value and starts showing. So what do I mean? So in this part of the exercise, I would like to replace the text meeting and SPFX adaptive card extension, these two texts. I would like to replace them with the department of the user, and for the department I need to make some API calls, and for SPFX card extension I would like to show the name of the logged in user. So how to go about it? Because remember, my data is being shown in card view, but all this calculation I would like to do between meeting adaptive card extension. So what I can do in this case is to define my state over here, right? Now I can say the state will have two properties. Let's call it user email, or better, let me not, yeah, USR email. It is of the type string, and then I will have user department. It is of the type string too. Notice how immediately in my onInit function the state starts complaining because I am not implementing all these two properties. Now, so let's go ahead and do this. User email. Let's do user email. It can be this dot context dot page text dot user dot email, standard SPFX functionality, nothing magical about it. But for the department I have to make an API call, so I cannot put it at the time of initializing of the state. I need to do it further later on. So what I can do is make it as optional field, right? So that this error goes up. Now once this is done, let me go to card view, and then I can say, hey, I don't want to from a primary text, don't use this thing, just print in this dot state dot user email. So I'm calculating everything in extension and using it in other part of my project. And for the title, what about you go ahead and read dot department functionality, right? Control save, that's okay. Now let's go about writing the user department, calculating the user department. Now I can make an API call over here, so that means I can use this dot context dot I think it's graph client object, but for the sake of simplicity I will use the set timeout function. What am I doing over here? I'm saying it's an async function, and this is a magical function, this dot set state, right? What can it do? I need to set it an object inside it. So I will say use whatever property you have for the state. So that means just copy user email as it is. That's the spread operator. Or if there are 10 properties, just copy them, all of them at one go. But for user department, how about setting it to IT information, let's say tech. and then you run this function after, let's say, 5 seconds, right? So what should happen in this case is the first time the page loads, I will get my user email directly, but there will not be any department. But after 5 seconds, since the department has been set, you would see that the information automatically appears. So let's go ahead and save everything. Yeah, I have done it. Let's refresh the page and see the magic. There we go. There we go. You can see the email gets printed immediately and the title is not there. Wait for 5 minutes. And there it goes, information technologies. And what has happened behind the scene is that as soon as this state was called, the properties was set, and framework was intelligent enough to re-render everything from for this web part from the scratch, and that's how the information gets sold. Once I have set it up over here, I can use it in card view like I did. I can do the same thing for my quick view. So let's quickly go ahead and copy it, and notice how I get the type information out of box. So I don't need to, there is intelligence enough to figure out that the state has all these properties, so we can use that one. Dot user department. Okay, control save. Yes, let's refresh the page, and if everything goes correctly on the quick view also, we should be able to see these two values, and there they are. Nice. Another important thing to know about state is that this idea of setting the state, it's actually coming from React, because that's how React works within it. I'm not sure, maybe Angular also does it like that, but it is a React implementation. However, there is one subtle difference between React implementation and SPFX implementation, being the state object for React application is modularized, is limited to the particular function, but that's not the case in SPFX. SPFX state is for all the classes, all the functions within your project, but in React it was specific to only that component, that function. The way to handle in React the ability to share your object across all your components is via composition or using context API. I am not quite sure why Microsoft didn't go through context API route, but they did one universal state. Though context API can be used in SPFX if we want, and we will see a demo of it in our future sessions. But that's one of the key differences between React out of box, pure vanilla React, and SPFX. Also, we only implemented two properties, but state object as well as the set state function is intelligent enough for complex objects. So by complex objects, I mean a big object with a lot of hierarchy is n level deep. That is also possible as long as we are specifying the interface properly, because it's TypeScript, and we are setting it properly in the this.set state function. Complex objects can also be implemented in SPFX. So guys, if you like the video, please hit like, share and subscribe. Your appreciation will go a long way in curbing my laziness. See you next time.